Hello, how are you? My name is Matthew. This is Facebook Live with Matthew, and I'm so looking forward to the next few moments. My guests are here. So we did a tech check at 8:30. Everything should be okay. So let's bring in my guest this evening. Let's get to this here. Let's get to it. Mitch Bigger, hello. I'll try and do a better job of reading comments as we go. So just looking to connect with Brian and Tony. We are at the mercy of wireless internet. The guest declined. Okay, we'll try it again. We'll try it again. Just so you know, this broadcast is coming live from North End, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And we are trying to connect with a couple of musicians. We just had them on here moments ago. We will connect. There they are. Yes, yes. Welcome back.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
I am not logically inclined whatsoever, so here we are.
Okay, I will, baby steps, Tony, baby steps. That's what we'll do.
All right.
So I just want to start off by thanking you two for taking time out of your Monday night. That really means a lot to me. It's good for both of us, exposure for both ends. But I want to start off just by saying this is what I factually know about the two of you. And this is the first time that we're seeing each other, even though it's through the internet. This is the first time we're seeing each other. But this is what I do know. I know that Brian was born in Glace Bay, now lives in Halifax, retired from the Department of National Defense, and is the front man for the Brian Doucette Band. Tony Trimper is from Bear River, Nova Scotia. He's a financial advisor at Sun Life Financial and lead singer and guitarist of Callahan, which the music I've already heard at any house party, that should be cranked at 11.
That's our goal.
The two things we're going to talk about tonight is you have a big weekend coming up. We're going to talk about boxing rock. We're going to talk about another project that you have coming up. But first, I want to, and I'm sure some of my guests who have never met you two, we're going to learn who Tony and Brian are simultaneously. So you guys are up for that, yes?
Sure thing. Absolutely.
Okay, so, and I should let everyone know, feel free, those that are in the audience, leave questions as well. But everything that we are about to discuss is just information that these two gentlemen have already put up on social media. So nothing is going to come as a surprise. This is just fun stuff. This is 30 minutes to get away from the everything else that's happening in the world. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for being live. And if you're watching this at your leisure, I appreciate that as well. So let's just go back between the both of you. Brian, if you can just kind of scooch in a little bit more, just so you can get completely in frame there. There you are. There you are. The first thing I want to talk about, well, what I want you two to talk about is your chemistry. Now, I want you to take turns. Tony, what makes Brian, how does he help you be a better musician in the short term and in the long term? And then go back and forth between the both of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the quick, easy answer is because he is the better musician. So that definitely helps push and challenge me in learning stuff. I like to think that sometimes maybe I could show him something, but it's probably few and far between. So we're both so down to earth, and we just have so much fun together. And we gel, and we can argue like brothers, and sometimes I'm like, I hope I wasn't out of line there with that. But he helps me become a better musician because we're both songwriters first and foremost, I'd say. And in doing that, it's easier to write a song by yourself, but it's usually not going to be as good. So going into that task with someone, you almost have to apologize in advance and just agree that you friends coming out of it, because it's a tug of war a little bit. So, but some of the things and his approaches to things have been very different than mine. You know, he's more rock than I am, although I love punk music, so it's hard to say that. But yeah, but yeah, he challenges me, and through the friendship, I really think through friendship is where collaborations can thrive. Might have been a sidetrack answer, but.
So, but let me extend on that. So would it be easier for you, so in a jam, if Tony had to write a song within 48 hours, would it be easier to write it with Brian or easier to write it with someone who you just met based on chemistry?
Oh, okay. So it'd be easier to write by myself, but it may not be as good because I'd be challenged by Brian or the other person to hone certain things and be better at certain things. But I think because of the relationship we have already have a few songs under our belt and a few more that are definitely, you know, in the percolator, it would be easier to write with Brian than someone brand new, because you need that feel out stage, feeling each other out. Like, and I'm very much, I don't know, I have a lot of weaknesses, but one of my strengths is knowing and engaging with people and whatnot. And I guess reading them, working with people. So already knowing and having it established, our relationship, neither of us are the true leader between us. And a lot of times, you know, that's maybe why we're best to keep our own individual bands, but come together as brothers to work on things together, because we're both type A personalities. So that's a long answer to say quicker to pump one out with Brian because of the history we already have, I'd say.
Pretty much. Okay. Yeah. I think from my my side of things, like I'm my style has been described as kind of for the Brian Doucette band. It's like an acoustic thrash. Like, I got a very heavy influence from like Guns N' Roses, Metallica, everything from Guns N' Roses, Metallica, the Tupac to Luke Bryan. I'm all over the map, and something I really enjoy about working with Tony is that it kind of takes me out of my, it takes me towards a direction that I normally wouldn't go, and outside of that, we've been learning a lot because we've been working on historical songs, local historical songs, and I'm learning things like like before a year ago, I had no idea about the boxing rock legend, for example, and immediately
I'm the beer drinker, I knew.
Immediately after Tony kind of turned me on the idea, I started getting into it, and I was hyped up by it. I was like, this is so cool, man. I think a lot of the world's problems could be fixed this way. If two guys were just meet up, they'd probably be, I mean, we all remember when we were kids, you get into a fight with a guy in the backyard, or the back of the school ground, you're best friends with him by the end of the day.
Basically, Brian is still in the world by solves everything.
And another thing about Tony too is that he downplays his ability as a musician all of the time. The guy is fantastic. You will not see a better party band at a bar than Callahan. Whereas the Brian Doucette band, I go for more the mosh pit.
And hey, I'd be in the mosh pit, don't get me wrong, but I'm much more Waylon and Willie meets the Pogues, I guess. You know.
I think, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I think we make a great team because of the differences in our styles when it comes to our original bands. And we were actually just talking about it before it came on, is how like we're kind of a side project because we have our own projects, but like right now with this boxing rock video, we got a lot of hype coming up, and it's cool to have two different sets of fans kind of interwinding like that, if that makes sense. So. But yeah, no, it's been really fun.
I totally get it.
And yeah, it's really exciting what we've got coming up. So we're really pumped to be showing the whole world.
Yes, now you get to, when you are writing these songs and you're doing your research and you're traveling around to these different communities, are there any communities in particular that your reception is a little warmer when you play?
I mean, down home's down home. I mean, I went to high school in Annapolis Royal. I thought you were going to say I was born in Bear River. I'm not buried there yet. But no one's born there unless they don't go to the hospital. I was born in Annapolis Royal, probably one of the last people until they stopped doing that there. So Annapolis Royal, Bear River's home, but Annapolis Royal is part of home. So playing there with Callahan, we often get a warm reception because it's old homecoming week, yeah. But there's a lot of places that rural Nova Scotia, there's nothing like it. You know, I love HRM, don't get me wrong. And I love our province and just how each region is so vibrant in a different way. And yeah, feel at home everywhere. But I think when we go in, we definitely, like doing the song The Boxing Rock, it was good really having, the brewery loved it, and that's a blessing. And they supported us to record it, and they're going to use it. And we, having Chet Buchanan speak and talk about where he's a well-known singer-songwriter from Shelburne. You know, I think going into anywhere, you want to show respect into a community, not just barge in like the Romans and saying, hey, here we are, you know, but to go in and, you know, obviously with some confidence, but also in a way that it's not just our baby, it's they're all part of it, right? And because it is a thing to take on a story from a region that is not your region, and you want to do that respectfully.
We had such an amazing team too working on this track. Like me and Tony wrote the song about a year ago, but we had the rest of Tony's band, Callahan. We had Colby Clark, Ted Small.
Mark Kosh from Untitled Upon the Giants on the drums.
Mark Kosh did a fantastic job on the drums. He even added like a couple things that we were like, oh yeah, we wouldn't have thought of that, right? And we had Alex Buchanan did the producing on it, and he was fantastic. And Alexander Rogerson helped us out with some vocals and really helped a lot with the administration. And Melissa now has been incredible. Like, she's so supportive.
Shoebox Studios.
She's definitely one of the unsung heroes of the HRM music community for sure. And yeah, we had such a fantastic team that it really kind of calmed our nerves, and whether it would be successful or not, because we had so many key players that were helping us out with it, right? So yeah, like I'm really proud of this boxing round. Plus, I made the joke before that I don't know what other artists' definition of making it is, but having your voice in a beer commercial is definitely up there for me. So,
and I'd much rather that be a local brewery than Labatt's, right? So.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and we're going to talk about Boxing Rock here in a couple of moments. If you're just scrolling through Facebook, my name is Matthew. This is Facebook Live with Matthew, speaking with Brian and Tony. You got a big weekend, and I'm curious, as someone who's not a musician, but back in the day when I just haven't been out into a pub in a long time, but that's another story. But I'm curious, as a musician, what are you listening to before you go out, and what kind of music are you listening to settle you down after a night of entertaining others?
Honestly, like I'll tell you, like I kind of for myself, just in general, we listen to, like, we've got such a talented group of friends. I'm pretty, like 80 to 90% of our clique are musicians that are recording and playing around and stuff. Like we've got guys like Patrick and Daniels. We listen to a lot of Patrick and Daniels. That's Jesse Patrick and Tyler Daniels. They're phenomenal. We've got guys like Jester Brown and Maurice O'Coin, and Sylvie Marie is on her way up, and so we've got our own circle of friends. We call ourselves the Village, Maurice being the mayor, and we've got a circle of friends that's just there's no shortage of music to listen to from within
too, because they're on Spotify and whatnot. So some ways is that's what you meant.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I've got
that's what I mean. Yes,
friends on there,
and it's kind of cool. It's like you're taking them with you.
Yeah, we like the countdown, the East Coast countdown. There's like, actually, we're not on there at this moment, but for a couple months, there was like 5 or 6 of us that were on the top 30, and we were listening in every week together. And
it would be cool to be on there together.
Yeah,
because we've not been on there with the same track together. So hopefully, fingers crossed, people like Boxing Rock. But I find, like, going to a gig, Matt, I find I do love certain songs that really give me the energy. And of course, some of our friends, but some of my iconic heroes like Christofferson, and usually the upbeat Christofferson, Dropkick Murphys. I know there's a lot between those two different names, but pumping up on the way to the gig, I'd say. After a gig, I like listening to stuff that I would never attempt to sing. George Michael, I find I've been listening to a lot after a gig, and I love him. But classic stuff like that might be my favorite rock band of all time. I mean, favorite band of all time have to be the Highwaymen because who's in it. But, you know, and the Beatles, you know, stuff that isn't what I play. And I think I really am drawn to that after a gig.
When I'm driving to a gig, if I'm by myself and meeting up with whoever I'm meeting up with, I'm usually warming up my voice to whatever comes on the radio too. So like, to an outsider listening in, it would sound ridiculous because it basically driving. So probably
that's how it sounds on stage.
So yeah, but typically, like, I was raised on Guns N' Roses, and even going more specific than that, like Slash is my hero. I was kind of an equal Guns N' Roses fan until they broke up, and Slash just kept feeding me more music. So I've also been sober for 2 years. I quit drinking a couple of years ago. Slash has been sober for, like, I think he's up to like 12 or 13 now. So I kind of like Slash kind of helped me quit drinking. So, and after that, I'm all over the map. I grew up. I spent about a decade listening to nothing but Tupac. I was huge into country music for a few years, and
not always the real country music though.
Yeah, close to country music.
Just two more quick things. Just yes or no, real quick responses, and then we'll get into talking about boxing rock. For the both of you, favorite place to go just to get away from everyone for a weekend? What place in Nova Scotia do you just go by yourself and retreat?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm usually where I'm sitting right now.
Well, I like being home, which is so weird because I love travel and I'm as much of an extrovert as you'll find. But I've got a great neighborhood and live on a little lake, 10 minutes from the airport, and I love it here. But I love Bear River. I love when you go in Bear River, there's no cell service, because you're in such a deep valley. But I tend to think to be back in the woods in Bear River East, my dad's camp. I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, if I had to, I guess I would say Cape. I'm from Glace Bay, so going down there, it's about a 4.5 hour drive. And I try to get down there. My mother's still down there, my absolutely beautiful, amazing mother. So, yeah, like I try to get down there at least once a month. And it's good to go down there for about a week and see all my friends and stuff. And, so I guess my escape is my town. But.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I mean, Nova Scotia is so nice. Every corner you take is an escape because it's just beautiful. One final thing, because I'm just trying to get to know you guys before we get into the passion, which is boxing rock, and the other project that we're going to talk about. Just quickly, your first disappointing concert. What was the first concert you went to where you left and you're like, well, that was really awful?
Not the one that I play, but the one I go to listen to, right?
The one that you go listen to, yeah.
I know. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but it pops right in my mind, and it's Bob Dylan. And it was in Victoria when I lived there. And I did see Willie Nelson the same week, which blew me away. But Bob Dylan, I love him, and he's a great singer-songwriter. But when you can't make out what he sings anyway, and then rearranges his classics to completely different, you don't know what you're listening to. So, and he didn't so yeah, so Bob Dylan, I hate to say it as a songwriter, and especially someone that I look up to.
If I had to pick one, I would go with Headley, but it's not because Headley did anything wrong. It's because I showed up there, and I'm talking, I was probably late teens, early 20s at this point, and I don't remember it. I showed up there hammered, and I ended up leaving early. And so from what I hear, Headley actually played great, but I didn't show up in fine form. And so I guess that would probably be my worst one. The worst one I've ever been to that I remember is probably my own. My first time ever playing, I was in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and I was playing my first gig that Saturday. So I went to an open mic. Me and my brother, Corey Wilcott, he passed away last year, but Corey was with me the first time I went and I played live. And when I started playing, I was told to play 5 songs. It was for an open mic, and it was at the Phoenix. And when I started playing, there was about 50, 60 people in the bar. By my second or third song, there was about 20 people in the bar. And by my last song, it was just my buddy Corey in the back trying to pretend like he hadn't noticed that I chased everybody out of the bar. And he's clapping like, yeah, buddy. And 4, I'm never doing this again. I said, I can't believe I even tried this. I felt that tall. I felt horrible about it. And by the time I had gotten home, I was kind of like, well, this is my favorite thing in the world to do. So I'm not gonna just accept that defeat. And I ended up going out. It was the next night. I went to a different spot, beautiful spot near Muckdown, New Brunswick, called the Sour Grape, and I crushed it. And people clapped, and it's like, oh, thank God.
And you don't mind me saying, man, I want to encourage everyone to just give her. Don't wait till you're good enough, or else you'll never do it. Because one of my closest friends, Dietrich Werner, came in one night. I was playing and did the open mic thing, and then ended up having a regular gig in Halifax. And he's like, "Oh, you don't suck anymore." I'm like, "That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Dietrich." So, but the thing, we all have to suck, and just give her. Like, don't worry about what people think, as hard as that is to say or do, but just do it, because you all have to start somewhere. Ed Sheeran really sucked when he started. Thank God he didn't stop. You know what I mean? So just give her. I would encourage everyone to play publicly.
Yeah. Well, keeping with that, I bombed at Yuck Yucks not once, but twice. I went back twice.
Okay.
But yeah, you just got to put it out there.
You get them under your belt. It's success is built on failure. Bricks of failure. That could be a song.
Yeah,
exactly.
Actually,
have a drink, and let's talk about. I don't want to give too much away because I'm really interested in, because I saw the promo. I saw the promo for Boxing Rock, so I want you to explain to me how you came about the legend. How do you write about a legend in a 3 or 4 minute song, and finally think about if back in the day, would you two have been the types of personalities who may have found yourself on Boxing Rock at low tide?
I've challenged him to join me this summer. We may have helmets on and Boxing Rocks and swimsuits, but I challenged him to the summer, and he'll kick my butt because I'm a lover, not a fighter. Hey, I'll hug him to death and throw him. Yeah.
Obviously, that's why we're waiting until it's warm out.
Yeah, that's right. So, sorry, I just threw it off with that question.
Oh no, it's all good. I mean, it was about this time last year actually, and we kind of had an idea to look up some different historical songs locally from within Nova Scotia. And I remember Tony sent me. There was 4 or 5 options there. Well, we can do this, and this. And it so happened that the first one that I looked at was Boxing Rock, and I was like, oh man, this is cool, man. This is a really cool, a cool legend, and I think we could probably stretch this out into a 3.5 minute song. And I'm not even 100% sure at the time I knew it was a brewery, because I think Tony said, yeah, it's a brewery down in Shelburne. They named it after the legend and that. So that's kind of how that got started. I think it might have been that evening.
Yeah, and well,
in the next couple of days, I was out here and we started writing down.
We were in the shanty. We started writing it right here. And I feel a little bad because my bass player, Ted, one of the nicest guys you'll meet, one of the most talented bass players you'll meet, especially
incredible, man.
The best 3-fingered bass player for sure, hands down, fingers down. But Ted, I talked to Ted about writing that song, and then eventually we didn't get around to it. And then I'm like, kind of forget that. I'm like, oh yeah, look, I wrote this with Brian. I'm like, oh, I thought we were going to write that. But he and I have written a lot of other songs. But I love craft beer. I love supporting local, and I love history. So it all comes together on that. Because the story of the Boxing Rock is right on every can or bottle of Boxing Rock beer, which is from Shelburne. They're opening a new spot in Halifax and expanding their spot in Halifax. So that's cool. So yeah, so when we looked at, we've got a bunch on the docket of historical songs we want to write, but that one became the first one. And we thought we might write it about past tense back in the day, but we kind of made it where it's current. Like a current captain read about this legend on the side of his beer, and two of his guys weren't getting along, so he decided in modern day he's dropping them off. So yeah. You also asked, how do you have a concise, like a big historic thing? And another song I wrote, the Gorley Shanty Riot. Some people say it's the most infamous incident in Irish history that happened outside of Ireland, happened here in Windsor Junction, Nova Scotia. But without telling the whole story, people look it up. But you can't, I don't tell the whole story in the song. I can't. And I wrote another song about Canada's Pirate Queen, where Maria Lindsay, who, you know, but couldn't get in, there's not enough time to get into the end of her death and whatnot. So I guess with the song, often you try to point people towards the story, point people towards the history. And a lot of times, you know, doing a toast or before presenting it in the brewery or pub may tell a little bit of the story, depending on what kind of crowd you have, if they're listening or not, you know. But people just want to swing their beers and, you know, for the music. But I like to point people towards the story. It is hard to get you can't get a whole story into a song.
Yeah, so I mean, we pretty much hit like the main points while kind of keeping it, like I say, like we're talking about a legend from a couple of years, 100 years ago, but yeah, like we keep it, we try to keep it fun too, and like kind of I wouldn't say apply it to present day, but spoken as if it was present day. Almost like acting at a play, if that makes sense. So,
when something is a legend, you get a little more artistic freedom with it, because Boxing Rock is supposedly a legend, but there are people in Shelburne that will say it's a true story. And, you know, why not? Even if it happened once, you know, people say it is a true story. But when you hear something as legend, you don't have to worry about the historians so much. Oh, you were wrong here, you're wrong here, because they could probably, I can pick out a couple things now, past tense, on a couple things I've written. And, you know, because you got to be so careful when it's history and someone else's story.
Yes, it's great for tourism, Nova Scotia as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about your weekend. Let's talk about your weekend and this big release party that's happening. Tell everyone what's happening starting Thursday.
We have a mini tour, and I'm going to be so sore. I'm going to have stretched so much, so many vocal exercises. I've downloaded the baritone vocal exercises because we're playing 5 gigs in 3 days, and none of them are HRM. So we're hitting the Valley and the South Shore. So on St. Patrick's Day, most wonderful day of the year. If anyone knows me, they know I say that. It's my Christmas. So St. Patrick's Day, we're playing in the afternoon at the Spitfire in Windsor, Nova Scotia. That evening, we rented a van, and we're going over to Chester at the Foxhole, the village pub, for St. Patrick's Day night. Then Friday night, continuing with St. Patrick's weekend, going to my hometown, Apples Brewing Company. We love it there, and they're so good to us. So excited to be there. Going to have the whole van load of people crash at Mom and Dad's that night, so it'll be fun. You know, and then on Saturday afternoon, we're going from Annapolis Royal Bear River to Shelburne and doing so Thursday is the release of the song Boxing Rock on all streaming platforms. People can pre-save it now. Saturday will be the video release and the single release party at the Boxing Rock Brewery, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Saturday in Shelburne. And then to finish it off, and we're going to kick ass at Firkenstein Brewery in Bridgewater. Devin and Amanda are two of the nicest people on the planet, and they support live music like no one else does. and we're going to give it our all. And if I don't wake up the next day, it'll be a great weekend.
And actually, that following Friday as well, we're at
we're
back
in
to Dartmouth. We're playing. Me and Tony are playing at the Hub 2.
Yeah.
Over
for
Dartmouth.
any Metro people that want to come join us, that don't want to do the drive, but we do have people that are driving to Shelburne and Bridgewater. Feels like the Grateful Dead a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it sounds like an awesome weekend. But so that's happening, but you're also working on this other project. So I'll let you mention that. I'll let you take the lid off that. But I'm just wondering. I'm wondering. This is where I want to know the song writing process. I'm really curious in how the song is written. Like, are you putting are the both of you contributing phrases? Like, how do you narrow it down to the lyrics, to the final lyrics between two people? Because I have notes here, but I don't have anyone to challenge me with my writing. So how do you guys do it?
There's a bit of back and forth on it. Like we wrote a song, and actually the project that we're currently kind of moving forward on is a song that we wrote about the band that played on the Titanic, that literally played until their death. That they played until the boat sank, even with all the chaos and stuff that was going on around them. And they played to try to keep the panicked crowd calm. So they essentially gave their lives to kind of relax a panicked crowd as the ship was sinking.
And doing what they love.
Yeah, and we wrote about that. The way that we did that is that we kind of we did our research, we took notes, we had about 3 pages worth of notes, and from those notes we took out everything that related to the band and the theme of music can kind of get you through tough times, and we got a huge element of that in there, and questionably that may be the main element of the song, but yeah, we kind of just fished out the details from all the notes that we took and narrowed it down to just the band and the heroism that they displayed as the ship was sinking. So that was our process on that one. And actually for our next, I don't want to give away right yet because it's not written yet, but we're doing a similar process on something, a different Nova Scotia legend.
We think we got the riff while we were sitting here in between our warm-up chat with you and now. And so we'll talk to you off camera about this next song that we're working on. But the Titanic song, the musicians on the Titanic, the band played on. We actually went to a graveyard in Halifax doing some research on another gentleman for another story, and we ran into the Halifax Titanic Historical Society. So, I mean, that was pretty cool. And standing amongst those victims on the Titanic that they knew they were Catholic, so they were in the Catholic graveyard, standing at the grave of John Clark, who was one of the musicians, the bass cellist. And chatted with one of the Joel for quite a while there, and it was so lovely. And we're like, we need to write a song about the musicians on the Titanic, and just again, like Brian said, the point how important music is in tough times, and people learned that through COVID with the ultimate online kitchen party and things. So and coming back, doing the research, we watched a lot of YouTube videos and historic things. We each made notes. And then writing down concepts that we wanted to have in the songs, each of us, and different lines and things. Because I remember you had the first 2 lines, and then I said, I think we should switch those.
Yeah, that's right too.
Because Jim Cuddy of Blue Rodeo says the most important line in any song is the first one, because that captures someone's attention. It doesn't. So you just have to be, you can't be shy with each other. Of course, you want to be as cordial as possible. You're not like fist fighting, but talking that we're not on the box.
Not until we get to the box.
But, talking about, like sometimes like, I'd be like, oh, what about this? And Brian'd be like, no. I'm like, okay. And next, so.
And there's a bit of back and forth like that, but I mean, that's how effective teams work. If we were to be saying yes to everything that the other said, then we wouldn't get the quality of song that we were looking for. So it's kind of like, we're kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Step Brothers. There's a bit of that here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that explains everything. That explains everything.
So yeah, and I think back at like we're a pretty good team. We're
Don't touch my throat.
I'm gonna put my better not say that.
Okay, guys, listen, that's all we're going to talk about with music. I'm just going to keep you here for a few more moments, just a few more things that I want to talk about, just rapid fire. Okay. Tom Brady has come out of retirement. Do you care?
You saw my Facebook.
Oh,
you saw my Facebook. How excited I was.
Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. I did see your Facebook.
Yes, my grandfather was a Bucks fan, so Pirates.
I'm a bigger Peyton Manning fan, though. Just saying, but.
And I'm more of a Gronk fan, but I'm just happy to see them both together. But yes, Pirates. I was a Bucks fan before I knew what football.
Okay. First autograph from your favorite musician. Do you still have it?
No, but my first autograph from a phenomenal musician who we don't hear anything from nowadays was Prevail from Swollen Members. I went to see a Swollen Members concert. Me and my guys like a brother to me, Steve Nightingale. We went seen a Swollen Members concert at the Savoy Theater in Glace Bay. And Prevail seen me and Steve standing up on our seats and screaming. And he started laughing in the middle of his verse, dove out into the crowd just to high-five us. And then at the end of the show, he flagged us over and signed my hat. But unfortunately, I don't have the hat anymore, but it was still a pretty cool story.
I can't remember the first sort of the old. I've got Christofferson and my new favorite. Most people don't know Ward Davis, but you should. I've got both their autographs, and that's what's key to me. But I can't even remember the oldest autograph, but Christofferson and Ward Davis.
Okay. This is directed to you, Tony. Scott Hall.
Who?
No, like we know that we know that he is in a bad situation. I'm just wondering, what does he mean to you? What does Scott Hall, the wrestler Razor Ramon, what does he mean to you?
Do you mean this is a question for Brian?
Oh, was it Brian? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm a huge wrestling fan. Like, I've been a wrestling fan. Like I can remember being barely old enough to stay up late enough to watch a full pay-per-view, but I can remember when the Ultimate Warrior pinned Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Like, I've been a wrestling fan for as long as I can remember, and I still love wrestling, actually. I don't watch it as like persistently as I used to, but I still love wrestling. Scott Hall is not my favorite of all time, but he did revolutionize the sport between being Razor Ramon and then going to, when he went over to WCW and him and Kevin Nash started the NWO, I was a huge wrestling fan during that time too, and I remember just like, wow, it really flipped. There was almost no WWF because of the NWO going into WCW. Like, that was a pretty intense time for wrestling, and that was right around prime time for, I think I was like 15 or 16 years old when that was going down. So I don't even know if I realized that the outcomes of wrestling was predetermined then. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think Scott Hall is a pioneer. I think he definitely steered wrestling in a direction that probably wouldn't have been carried out unless it was him doing it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I can remember being a kid watching Ray Stone and seeing him win the Intercontinental title and celebrating, and Chico trying to copy the name. Yo, what's up, Chico? Say hello to the bad guy, and flicking the toothpick at people. And yeah, so he's part of Scott Hall really was a big part of my adolescent growing up and stuff. So it's a real shame, actually, because he had a lot of problems. He was he was heading to drinking and stuff, and he had just got himself cleaned up through DDP yoga, and yeah, so it's a really heartbreaking thing to see him kind of go down like that. But yeah, I mean, any wrestling fan on the planet will surely miss him, and will surely have a lot of respect for him. So rest in peace, Scott Hall.
Well, yes, I did mean to direct that to you, Brian. Tony, this one's for you. This is the last thing we'll touch on. You had made mention of you had made mention of an Irish boxer by the name of Ray Moiletti. Is that pronounced correctly?
Yes, and Ray is a saint.
Moilette.
And you know what? I'm not a fan of wrestling. I'm definitely not a fan of MMA. I like George St. Pierre, and I've chatted with him. He's a great guy. But I love boxing. Boxing is a gentleman's sport. And I went to an Irish festival, Irish Celtic festival with Dropkick Murphys, Flog and Molly, and all these other bands, and got to know some great bands at the time. So was backstage and got to know Ray, and we hit it off and chatted, and then support him a lot on Facebook and follow him, watch him and what he's doing. He's a family man. He's a young guy. Boxing's not an easy sport, but the level of fitness that he is, he's just a great guy, and he's so generous and happy to be there and help anyone. And he does so much good for so many causes. And I mean, part of Murphy's Boxing, which is King Casey and Dropkick Murphys, I mean, Dropkick, they're all about charity and whatnot. And Ray has that same thing about him. And Callahan, we try to support juvenile diabetes is our big thing. And I'm all about those who look to help others, because it's not about going up the hill to get on your own. It is about going up the hill together, right? And being a village would be Maurice O'Coin's terminology. But yeah, so yeah, Ray Moilette, great guy. Follow him, support boxers. Yeah, that it's a great sport, you know, especially when you're not at the crazy high level where everyone's bought out and money ruins things, you know. So
yeah. Tony, Brian, that was, you know, I was thinking before we started this, how amazing it will be when three complete strangers can get together virtually. And we've been talking for what, 30, 40 minutes. So I just get a kick out of it. It's,
no.
You have a question.
No, I said I can't answer that question. How long we were chatting, you can tell me anything and I'll believe you. So.
Oh. 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. I hope that we're able to see each other in person sometime in the near future.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I don't know if you were wanting, we can play a song, but I don't know how well the audio would come across, or if that was something you wanted, because, or if you want to wrap this up, obviously. That's
if you want to play us out with the song, do that. No.
Yes.
Go ahead and play us out.
The Boxing Rock or the band played on the Titanic song, your choice.
I want to hear Boxing Rock.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
sure.
Being released St. Patrick's Day on all streaming platforms.
I love that song.
Who wrote that? And we'll drop. Let's drop the mob. The bastards getting sorted out on Boxing Rock. Yeah, that's up. Tide knows no slide. Talk it out, sock it out before we come by. Ship the sea, just off a shoulder. The waters were deep, a tough lesson to learn. Captain knew a tale of the legend around here. Errantly hidden on the side of the beer. Where they drop. Let's drop the mob. Bastards getting sorted out on Boxing Rock. Yeah, that's up. Tide knows no slide. Talk it out, sock it out before we come back. Then it's in the spot where settlers would go. The streets became bounce when they came to house. Waters on rail, the plateau with heroes. Differences were settled when bricks all revealed. And we'll drop. Let's drop the mob. You know this ain't right. You're gonna be inside the box around tonight, and we'll drop. Let's drop the mob. Bastards getting sorted out. Unboxing, rock, and it's up. Time knows no slack. Talk it out and sock it out until we come back. What will we do? What will we do? Picking up one or we're picking up two. What will we do? What will we do? Is one last to see or will two have a brew? When we drop, we drop the mob. The bastards done sorted out with unboxing rocks. So it's up. Cut them some slack. Crack a beer, toast a beer. The cars are all back. Yeah, we drop. We drop the mob. The bastards been sorted out. Unboxing rocks. So it's up. Time knows no slack. Talk it out and sock it out before we come back. Talk it out and sock it out before we come back. So we typically do love songs and opera and hip hop.
It's a Valentine's Day song.
Uh, Brian, Tony, that was so amazing. That was a first. That was a first for me. I've never had musicians play live on my show like that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're serious, Matt. You know, like I said, it was our love song.
And no problem, man. We appreciate being on your show, man.
Yes,
this has
thank you
been
so
a lot of fun, and yeah, like you say, like I can't believe 40 minutes went by that quick. Like, yeah, no, this is a lot of fun.
Host and very inquisitive questions. I'll probably still be thinking about it after we're done here. So you're a great host, and thank you for that.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you down the road. Enjoy your weekend and continued success.
Happy St. Patrick's Day coming up. All right.
Thanks very much, Matt.
Good night, everybody.